Food in this house is meant to be consumed in the dining room or not at all.
What about when you take your tea outside on the patio?
That is in the afternoon. This is morning, and in the morning you eat your food at the table in the dining room.
Fine. I'll be back this afternoon.
Well, if you expect that muffin to fly back to the kitchen, you better go get it a cape.
If you close your eyes and think of Stars Hollow, you probably see autumn leaves, smell an ungodly amount of coffee, and hear the gentle, fast-talking banter of a town that feels like a warm hug. But as soon as you cross the threshold of the Gilmore mansion in Hartford, the air pressure changes. The coffee is served in delicate china that costs more than your car, the banter is sharpened into a surgical blade, and the warm hug is replaced by a polite, distant nod. Welcome to the world of Emily Gilmore. For 7 seasons, Emily was the final boss of the Gilmore universe. She is the embodiment of old money elegance, a woman whose posture is so perfect it looks painful, and whose tongue is so sharp it could defrock a priest at 50 paces. To a casual viewer, she's the villain, the controlling, judgmental mother who drove our spunky protagonist away with a single withering look. But if you look closer, beneath the St. John knits and the meticulously arranged hydrangeas, you find a character who is perhaps the most complex, tragic, and brilliantly realized person on the screen. Emily Gilmore isn't just a difficult mother. She is a woman who turned propriety into a fortress and passive aggression into a high art form. She is a woman of immense intellect and terrifying ambition who was born into a social structure that gave her only one outlet for her power: the curation of a perfect life. Today, we are breaking down the masterclass in psychological warfare that is Emily Gilmore, and examining the devastatingly high cost of a life lived entirely for the sake of what people might think. Chapter 1. The Performance of Propriety. In the world of the Hartford elite, propriety isn't a suggestion, it's the law of gravity. For Emily, the way a table is set, the guests invited to a benefit, and the lineage of a potential suitor are the fundamental building blocks of a stable universe. If the flowers are wrong, the world might actually stop spinning. We have to understand that for Emily, her life was a career. In the mid-20th century, a woman of her standing didn't have an office, she had a drawing room. Her success wasn't measured in quarterly earnings, but in the seamlessness of Richard's social standing and the prestige of the Gilmore name. She was a corporate wife, a role that required the strategic mind of a general and the grace of a prima ballerina. When she joins the DAR or spends weeks agonizing over a seating chart, she isn't being frivolous, she is maintaining the Gilmore brand. But the cost of this performance was her soul. She spent 50 years molding herself into the perfect accessory for Richard Gilmore, and in doing so, she lost the ability to be a human being without a script. This is why she is so fundamentally triggered by Lorelai. Lorelai is the living, breathing proof that the rules Emily sacrificed her life for are actually optional. Every time Lorelai walks in wearing a tie-dye shirt or cracks a joke about the fancy people, she isn't just being annoying, she is accidentally telling Emily that her entire life's work is a joke. And how does Emily respond? She exerts control over the only thing left, the help. The maid of the week trope is one of the show's best running gags, but it's rooted in something dark. Emily fires maids for the sound of their footsteps, for a misplaced spoon, or for clumsy service. It is the tyranny of the powerless. Because she cannot control her rebellious daughter, and she cannot control the shifting tides of a world that increasingly values a Stars Hollow lifestyle over a Hartford one, she becomes a dictator in her own kitchen. Propriety is her armor, but it's also her cage, and if she has to stay in it, she's going to make sure everyone else is following the rules too. Chapter 2. Financial Handcuffs. If propriety is the law in Emily's world, money is the enforcement agency. One of the most fascinating aspects of Emily Gilmore is her relationship with wealth. To Emily, money isn't just about luxury, it is safety, it is standing, and most importantly, it is leverage. The entire premise of the show is built on a financial contract. Lorelai, the woman who would rather eat dirt than ask her parents for a favor, is forced to come back crawling for Rory's Chilton tuition. Emily's response is a masterstroke of emotional manipulation. She doesn't just give the money, she doesn't even lend it with interest, she buys attendance. The Friday night dinner agreement is a literal hostage situation disguised as a family tradition. Emily is acutely aware that she does not know how to foster a relationship based on mutual vulnerability. She doesn't know how to say, "I missed you," or "I'm sorry I was cold," so she uses the one thing she has in abundance to force a connection. To Emily, money is the only language that Lorelai cannot ignore. It's weaponized generosity. We see this again and again. She buys Rory a car. She tries to buy Lorelai a house. She offers to set up trust funds. In Emily's mind, she is fixing things. She is providing the safety she thinks Lorelai is too stupid to appreciate. But the darker side of this is the Christopher factor. Emily will excuse Christopher for being a deadbeat, an absent father, and a professional failure simply because he has good breeding. He fits the aesthetic of wealth. For Emily, a man with a trust fund who abandons his child is more respectable than a man like Luke Danes, who owns his own business and raises a daughter, but wears a baseball cap backwards. This is the ultimate cost of her propriety. She would rather have a polished, wealthy liar at her table than a rough, honest man who actually loves her daughter. Chapter 3. The Redo Daughter. There is a hole in Emily Gilmore's heart that is exactly the shape of a 16-year-old Lorelai. When Lorelai got pregnant and ran away, she didn't just break Emily's heart, she committed a branding disaster. In the high society circles of Hartford, a pregnant teenager is a scandal that lingers for decades. Emily didn't just lose a daughter, she lost the perfect family narrative she had spent her life constructing. Then there's Rory. From the moment Rory steps into that mansion for the first Friday night dinner, Emily sees a second chance. Rory is the redo daughter. She is quiet, she is studious, she is polite, and, most importantly, she is brilliant in a way that fits the Gilmore legacy. Rory is the vessel into which Emily pours all the expectations that Lorelai shattered. But Emily's love for Rory is often a weapon she uses against Lorelai. This is the masterclass in passive aggression in its most cruel form. Emily becomes the supportive, indulgent, cool grandmother to Rory specifically to highlight how difficult Lorelai was as a child. By being the one who understands Rory's academic ambitions, by being the one who encourages her to join the DAR, or by being the one who hosts her debutante ball, Emily is subtly telling Lorelai, "See, it wasn't me, it was you. I'm a great mother to the child who actually listens." It is a psychological triangulation that is devastating to watch. Emily grooms Rory for the world of privilege, and she delights in every moment Rory chooses Hartford over Stars Hollow. When Rory moves into the pool house in later seasons, it is Emily's ultimate victory. She finally has the daughter she wanted, the one who wears the pearls, attends the parties, and accepts the gilded cage. Emily doesn't just want Rory to succeed, she wants Rory to prove that Lorelai was wrong to ever leave. It is a competition where the prize is a daughter's soul, and Emily is more than willing to use her granddaughter as a pawn to win it.
What I did out of concern.
Oh, please!
As your mother, I have the right to be concerned, especially when it looks like you're taking your life down a completely disastrous path. I had to jump in and...
Mom!
Lorelai!
Please hear me. If I want your input in my life in any way, shape, or form, I will ask for it. Until then, do us all a favor and shut up!
Chapter 4. The Weapon of Silence. If Chapter 2 was about the enforcement of wealth, Chapter 4 is about the psychological munitions Emily uses when the money fails. Emily Gilmore does not scream. Screaming is for the lower classes. Screaming is for people who have lost control of their emotions and, by extension, the room. No, Emily's greatest weapon is silence. It is a glacial, terrifying stonewalling that can drop the temperature of a room by 30 degrees the moment she decides you no longer deserve her words. In psychology, stonewalling is often cited as one of the 4 horsemen of a failing relationship, and Emily is its undisputed champion. When Lorelai or Richard or even Rory disappoint her, Emily doesn't just get angry, she deletes them from the immediate environment. She looks through you as if you are a particularly uninteresting piece of wallpaper. It is a form of emotional exile. By refusing to engage, she forces the other person into a state of frantic apology or defensive rambling. She makes you the crazy one while she sits in a chair, perfectly poised, sipping a gin and tonic, holding the entire emotional atmosphere of the house hostage. But when she does speak, it is with a surgical precision that borders on the operatic. Emily is a master of the backhanded compliment, a rhetorical device where she manages to insult your career, your outfit, and your life choices in a single sentence that, on paper, looks like a polite inquiry. This is the masterclass in action. She knows exactly where the nerve endings are. She knows that Lorelai is sensitive about her independence, so she attacks her stability. She knows Richard is sensitive about his legacy, so she attacks his relevance. Underlying all of this is what Enneagram enthusiasts would call a Type 1 personality, the reformer. Emily isn't being cruel for the sake of cruelty. In her mind, she is the guardian of the right way. She genuinely believes that there is an objective standard of excellence for everything from salad forks to marriage partners. When someone deviates from that standard, it feels to her like a personal assault on the order of the universe. Her passive aggression is her way of trying to correct a world that refuses to be perfect. The tragedy, of course, is that her quest for a perfect world left no room for a messy, authentic relationship with her daughter. She spent so much time sharpening her wit and her silence that she eventually found herself standing in a beautiful, silent house surrounded by people who were too afraid of the shrapnel to ever truly get close to her. Chapter 5: The Bullshit Rebirth. For 7 seasons, we watched Emily Gilmore pay the high cost of propriety. We watched her lose her daughter, struggle to connect with her granddaughter, and maintain a rigid social calendar that brought her more stress than joy. But it isn't until the revival, A Year in the Life, that we see the accounts finally settled. The death of Richard Gilmore is the single most significant event in Emily's life, including the birth of her daughter. Because Emily's entire identity was Mrs. Richard Gilmore, his passing didn't just leave her a widow, it left her a ghost. Without Richard to support, without his career to curate, and without his presence to anger her proprietary rules, the walls of her fortress began to crumble. What Follows is one of the most beautiful and unexpected character arcs in modern television. We see Emily Gilmore, the woman who fired a maid for the sound of a vacuum cleaner, wandering around her house in a t-shirt and jeans, clutching a glass of wine, trying to KonMari her life. She looks at her silver, her china, and her DAR plaques and asks the question she was never allowed to ask: does this bring me joy? The answer is a resounding no. The climax of this journey is the iconic bullshit scene. Standing before the High Council of the DAR, the very women she spent 50 years trying to impress, Emily finally snaps. She realizes that the interviews, the background checks, and the gatekeeping of propriety are all hollow. It is a performance of importance by people who are essentially bored. When she calls bullshit on the entire system, she's not just quitting a club, she's resigning from the 20th century elite. She is stripping off the armor of the corporate wife and deciding to see what's underneath. Emily's move to Nantucket is her true rebirth. In the original series, Emily in a whaling museum would have been a punchline, but in the end, it is her salvation. We see her scaring children with graphic descriptions of whale hunting, wearing casual clothes, and living in a house that feels lived in rather than staged. She finds a surrogate family in her domestic staff, not by demanding perfection, but by offering genuine connection. For the first time in her life, Emily Gilmore is not performing. She has paid the high cost of propriety in full, and she has walked away with her freedom. Conclusion: the master of the house. Emily Gilmore is a character that demands our respect, even when she's breaking our hearts. She was a woman of masterclass intelligence who was given a very small stage to play on, so she made sure every inch of that stage was perfect. Her passive aggression was the byproduct of a woman who was never allowed to be direct, and her obsession with propriety was a desperate attempt to find safety in a world that she felt was constantly slipping through her fingers. In the end, the greatest irony of Gilmore Girls is that Lorelai and Emily are virtually the same person. They are both incredibly sharp, fiercely stubborn, and deeply terrified of losing the people they love. Lorelai ran away to build a world where she could be herself, and Emily stayed to build a world where she could be safe. It took 50 years and a devastating loss for Emily to realize that Lorelai's path, the path of authenticity over appearance, was the only one that led to actual joy. We talk a lot about Rory's downfall or Lorelai's stunted growth, but Emily is the only Gilmore girl who truly, fundamentally evolved. She went from the final boss of Hartford to a woman who can stand on a porch in Nantucket, look at the ocean, and be perfectly content with the silence, not because she's using it as a weapon, but because she finally has nothing left to prove. Emily Gilmore taught us that propriety is a high price to pay for a life where you never get to say what you mean. But she also taught us that it's never too late to stop performing, to sell the mansion, to put on some denim, and to finally, loudly call bullshit on any world that tries to keep you in a cage. If you made it to the end of this deep dive into the Gilmore mansion, thank you for watching. Emily Gilmore is a character that challenges us to look past the pearls and see the person underneath, and I'd love to hear your take. Was she the ultimate villain of Stars Hollow, or was she just a woman doing the best she could with the rules she was given? Let me know in the comments. I promise I won't stonewall you. If you enjoyed this analysis, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more deep dives into your favorite characters. Until next time, try to be a little more Nantucket and a little less Hartford. I'll see you in the next one.